Hello, let's see, we were scheduled at 3 o'clock. That means I've
Yeah, I got an hour.
56 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
You don't need
I
to
could
take
pretty much put everyone to sleep in about 10. No. I just wanted to talk really briefly about, for those of you who were at either the January Collective or were at the follow-up help desk discussion we had. Actually, a ton of you in this room actually were at both of those, so it's great to see that. So, as usual, we're talking to the already converted in this room. But just for those of you who didn't get a chance to see some of that stuff, there was a discussion about help desk issues, and what it really kind of boiled down was connection between the LSP community and the help desk. What ways we could kind of move forward with understanding how we did things so that the help desk would do a better job of serving our needs. Clearly that's a very, very small distillation of a really big and at times very, very vigorous discussion. But what it came down to is that some of the takeaways that came out of that. The first is that it would be really helpful for us to have some help desk training about who the LSPs are, what is the program for, what do we do, what are our different environments, that sort of thing, and get that across to the help desk. Then basically it was talked about how to do a better data exchange between the help desk and the LSPs. When the help desk helps somebody, how can we get that information to their LSP so they can follow up? Things of that nature. How can we better partner with the help desk folks? But the piece of it that really kind of got a few of us pretty invigorated was this idea of best practices and really kind of getting a sense of cataloging what type of different environments we have around the university. I think that if you talk to 27 different people, you get 27 different answers on how wide a variety of different environments we have here. And specifically we're talking about what levels of security people are instituting, and then what kind of manageability they're building into their own environments. How hands-on are they? I mean, obviously some of us have 30 desktops, some of us have 300, and so there's a lot of differences that go through there. But this discussion has kind of ballooned to more than just potentially the help desk. So what we're talking about doing is kicking off a project within the LSP community to define some profiles of what kind of models the different areas are doing for their environments. What's come out just as a back of the envelope kind of thing. We've got anywhere from highly secure, highly managed environments. Chris and I get thrown into that category. I don't know if we always belong in there, but that talking about the ones who really have lockdown security, managing exactly what's going on in people's environments. Some people are more moderately secure and somewhat managed environments, and some are in kind of the wild, wild west. Some of that, one example would be how we distribute images. For example, the highly secure, highly managed environment might be one that uses the Mgmt server and is really, really very tight on how those images get distributed. Moderately secure might be some folks who use ImageX and they're actually doing some imaging, but it's pretty manual and they kind of do it on an ad hoc basis. Low security, non-managed might be those that use the DCI image. So that's the kind of demarcation we're kind of looking for. And in the process, we'd like to define some best practices for those models. The obvious question is, why would we go through all this work? What's the purpose of all this? Well, ultimately, as I said, this all came out of this discussion talking about with the help desk. How can we partner with them a little bit better? How can we feel that there's, how can they feel that we're working at that for the same aims? So that really is going to help them. They're going to get a sense of, oh, I'm talking to someone in Madison Hall, so clearly they are in this type of environment. Then that we can basically kind of build out their knowledge base a little bit more. That's going to be really helpful. I think in a lot of ways this is going to be extremely helpful for the community itself. My theory on all this is when we kind of get through this process, we're going to find that we maybe don't have 300 different types of environments. We do have a small amount, and all of us may have small tweaks we could do it ourselves. But I think, especially folks who are coming into this situation new, they get some real good tips on how to help manage their environment the way that other people have been doing it successfully for a long time. And yes, just yet again, a way for us as a community to kind of, offer that support to each other to understand, the best ways for us to do our jobs. And clearly this is going to help ITS. You know, one of the things as we were talking in the help desk discussion, Keith had brought up that, you know, if we want to get some help from ITS to making those connections and being able to have that data stream go between the help desk and the LSPs, we need to kind of demonstrate, you know, how that's going to be used and why that's going to be really beneficial. And I think in a lot of ways they could really benefit from this. I know IS Pro was doing cartwheels when we started to talk about this, because I think it would really be very helpful for them. I mean, obviously they're getting risk management reports from departments all around the university, but if they already kind of had a sense of where people fell in that spectrum, it's going to be really helpful for them to follow up and to offer resources and that sort of thing. So I think that, you know, this is a win-win in so many different ways. Where it's not necessarily a win-win is that it's going to take a lot of work. Unfortunately, as is always the case, whether it be at these collectives or at the conferences, we're talking to the folks who are already committed to these kind of efforts, and you guys, everybody in this room, and all the folks who do all this stuff, have, in general, merely by being here, but also by a lot of things that you've been doing, offered that extra amount. But I think we're going to try to do, and we're going to try to kick this off at the March Collective, to get some folks, maybe some sort of a subcommittee that wants to get together and help out. I've already had some folks from ASCS shooting over some of their guidelines they use as a group. So there's nothing really to be done at this moment. Like I said, we're going to introduce this at the March Collective, and I'm going to be sending out an email. Hopefully there'll be a little less rambling than the last 5 or 10 minutes, explaining this kind of effort.
You have
I have 45 minutes. It's great. But and kind of kick it off. And in the meantime, I'm gonna would ask you guys if you have any ideas on you know, how to define this, how maybe you guys are defining the way you do it, just real short kind of stuff. Because another great suggestion we had from the help desk discussion when we were talking about this kind of data collection was, well, it might be helpful if we had at least some sketches of some models of either these three, or, you know, an entire different model of how to break this stuff up, and how that would be really helpful. So we're going to try to attempt to come into the March Collective. I'm going to have a lot of discussion kind of focused on these different issues, try to get a lot of input from folks, and then from there take all of that with hopefully some folks that are willing to put in some time with us to put this effort through. As you saw, we actually had this as a subject onto our spring conference, so I'm hoping that maybe we might have some sort of a draft document at that point, have people be able to take a look at it. I really want this to be a true community effort, because I think this is really something that, you know, this group has a lot of really, really talented people in it, and a lot of really high expectations of each other and ourselves. And I think that we could really leverage that to get some things done for the community, and really turn that P of LSPs into what it is, a partnership between ITS and us. And I think this is going to go a long way to doing that.
Is that the new motto? Putting the P back.
Putting the P back in LSP. I like that. We always used to argue about the S. What does the S mean? Well, now let's argue about the P for a few years. So anyway, if anybody's got any questions, please let me know. But specifically, over the next few weeks, if you've got some ideas along this way, certainly if you're interested in helping out, please get in touch with me. You can either just send an email to LSP Steer, because this will be a steering committee effort. I foolishly stepped to the front and said I'll be in the front of it. But so you can send it directly to me, or you can send it to the steering committee. And I'm excited about really the possibilities of what this will mean to us. I think that this, you know, the consolidation of our information streams, plus things like this, I think that, you know, we're really say, what the heck happened this spring? All of a sudden, we're actually really organized. I love this idea. All right.
Woohoo!
Go LSP.
Yeah, so that's everything.